And there's a level of like taking yourself out of the equation of I have to be the best and I have to make this work, and just be like, hey, what can I learn from others? Mm-hmm. Other people are doing things too, which is great. And it doesn't take away from what you're doing, because it's not the same group. It's not for the same people. It's not the same market. It's not the same product, right? So what can you learn from others? I think that's huge. If you're the smartest person in the room where they tell you you're in the wrong room, you need to be constantly learning from other people and watching, what's working. Why do people take to that person so much? Mm-hmm. Why do they like that? And then learn that about yourself. I think, I don't know, but people tell me all the time that I'm really relatable, which I think is just crazy to me. Is that because of all the stuff you post online? Yeah. But they would never know if I didn't show up as me, right? And so I'm always saying, like, consumers, this generation, especially, they're gonna sniff out bullshit from a mile away. Mm-hmm. You can't fool them. Then they're gonna call you out on it.
Welcome back to Hawaii Real, everybody. I'm your host, Okole, and I want to send a shout out to Hawaiian Springs Water, our beverage host for this episode. Shake it. There you go. She's got it. Drank almost all of the bottle already. Haven't you started?
Cup.
Sure.
What is it called?
I don't know what you're doing.
ASMR?
Whatever it's called. I don't like ASMR.
Okay.
Anyways, I have a great guest here today, Kamaile Heide. She is the owner of Evolution Builders. It's a construction company. But also, what I wanted to bring you on this episode for is your work with Okole by Kamaile. And you can find them online at bykamaile.com. And mostly you're on Instagram a lot. You're posting a ton of videos.
A lot.
A lot.
At Okole by Kamaile.
At Okole by Kamaile. How you doing, Kamaile?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
My pleasure.
And you haven't seen any of the episodes before.
Mm-mm.
Killing me.
I figured it was best. Then I would just come in, and what you got is what you get.
What you got is what you get. We like that. Mm-hmm. So you were telling me that you started Okole by Kamaile during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's one of those pandemic businesses that had just sprouted up out of need.
Need, yeah. I'll say
kind of need.
Yeah. So I actually launched that business November 1st, 2020, but didn't really realize that I had been kind of advertising for quite some time for this, because I was like, I don't know if I have a market at all. And then it just kind of went poof, and it kind of blew up.
Nice.
So I kind of started it as a joke. It was just kind of a fun thing. But yeah, in the middle of the pandemic, I was telling you earlier that when all the gyms closed, I had a home gym and I started working out. And so I was really vocal on my social media about, like, you know what, we're going to band together. Let's build a booty. Like, who wants to build an Okole? Like, I'm going to build a butt. Follow along. And people would follow along. And I'd have so much interaction around the butt. And so eventually everybody was like, well, I need what you're using. What equipment are you using? Where can I get it? And so I would like link people in. There was an Amazon link, shopping link on my IG profile for a little while. And it just kind of got me thinking, like, well, I'm basically selling it. I might as well sell my own. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's it. So I started looking into it, did a bunch of research online, found a manufacturer, a distributor, did a lot of research, had some samples sent out.
There's something different about your bands, because you specialize, or you started specializing in just those rubber bands that you put around your legs and stuff like that, right? To enhance
most people know that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But yours look different. Can you talk about how yours look and the material and everything?
So a lot, like, people will just go to Ross, right? Pick up $10, get some bands, and what they tend to do is they roll up. Mm-hmm. And it's really frustrating. It's frustrating for a woman working out. Yeah. And I was like, we need better quality. And so I'd found these bands. They're really thick, durable fabric, and the inside has rubber. And so they're non-slip. So they don't slip up or down and allow you to get your workout in. Yeah. But in the pursuit of finding the band, I started looking through what the manufacturer had already in stock. And they had all these really cute colors. But I was like, I'm a local girl. I want local stuff. And I didn't see it. There was nothing, like maybe pizzas, and I was like, I don't want pizza. I want bamboo supis, dang it. And so I reached out and I was like, would you be willing to put my design on the bands.
Mm-hmm.
And after some negotiating and some samples and some sample money, I had to pay for some samples and wait for it.
Sure.
I had gotten this one particular guy of all the people to agree to put my design on these booty bands, basically. And so I took to the iPad and I was like, hey, what's my favorite things? Like, what's my favorite things about growing up local? Like food, hands down, food. And so I rolled out the first collection, which was called Local Gains Collection. And it had spam musubis, shave ice, and
Nice.
shakas.
Nice.
Then I was like, I have no idea how this will work. I had no idea if it was like, if anybody was going to even go for it.
And exploded.
Right. And I had to buy in bulk.
What was like their minimum quantities that you had to buy?
I had to buy 300.
That's not too
So it's
bad.
not too bad. But you know, to have to put out money for something that you have no idea if there's a market, it was a little nerve wracking.
Right. But during your research and just going off of like starting a business or going into entrepreneurship, when you did your research, you couldn't find those type of bands.
They didn't exist.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of those bands I had seen, I'd used one here and there. You had to buy them offline, you know, like a specialty or something. But I also didn't see anything that I liked as far as prints and designs. Yeah.
Right. So that's why I always tell people that are trying to dive into entrepreneurship a little bit is look for a product that doesn't exist that people might buy and then start narrowing it down to, okay, will some people buy it? You know, because you're looking at a niche product. And if it doesn't exist, oh my God, you might have hit something, right? And that's kind of what you hit, what you hit on right there.
Yeah. I think the main thing that I always focus on in all my businesses is how am I solving a problem and how am I serving you? Granted, when you talk about niche, it's my niche market that I'm servicing.
Yes.
Right. And booty bands is not for everyone.
Right.
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 It's not, most guys are not, I'm not selling to men unless they're buying for their wife. And I'm not really selling to higher athletes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very niche down to my local mama who's got about 30 minutes. They have multiple keiki running around and they can squeeze this in. And I cater to her.
Yeah.
So I'm solving her problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. And that's what I try to get people to understand about entrepreneurship and coming up with products is that, no, you don't have to find something for the world. You have to find something for 1 out of 2,000 people that might buy it.
Yeah. And typically the way this goes and works hand in hand is like, it's my problem that I had.
Yes.
Right. So I'm exactly right in there. I know what this person is thinking. I know how they're feeling. So I know how to communicate with them, even if it's through Instagram or, you know, Reels or whatever.
So on your sales, are you just doing local sales or are you selling, you're shipping elsewhere?
I ship across the nation.
Nice.
I haven't opened to out of like international, but I have had a few people reach out. And so I will just kind of put them together, package and I've sent the farthest, I guess, has been to Ireland.
Wow. That's
that's
a good way around. Yeah. Because what I have noticed also is that being from Hawaii and having Hawaii type prints, that in itself is a good niche also, because there are people around the world that they just want Hawaii stuff because it's cool or it's in fashion or it's that little niche that they don't, nobody else has this. Nobody else has bands with a shaka sign on it.
Right.
But everybody can recognize what that is.
Right.
Well, you know, mostly everybody.
Totally. It's universal. I think it gives them the little out, right? Like, a little piece of Hawaii. And a lot of these people too, who are mainland, have Hawaii ties.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I did get asked, you know, like if I was concerned about people not in the mainland not knowing what Okole meant. And like, they caught on real fast.
They know.
They know.
That song, Sweet
Okole?
That was out in like the 90s.
I was going to say like the 70s, maybe?
Well, there was a rap version.
Oh, there's a rap version. I'm unaware of the rap
Mexican
version.
guys that made a rap version out of, well, there was the original song, local song here, but I forget who did it. But then when I was in high school, there was like a group of Mexican guys that had like a rap version of it.
I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah.
Check it out.
So no, that was, I think people around the country kind of know what it means. It's one of those Hawaiian words that have kind of spread its wings across the nation to kind of say, hey, it's like aloha. Like, you kind of know what it means. Okole. Yeah, you kind of know what that means.
I mean, if you're local, you were raised with it, don't, let's go there. Don't get me wrong. I've got my fair share of trolls for using Okole instead of alemu. And my little sister, she, a little Hawaii, and we sat and we went over this. And I said, I know I'm going to get some flack for this. I will get some pushback.
Yep.
And she said, are you okay with that? And I was like, yeah. And I tried to come up with all kinds of names. And I just kept coming back to this. Yeah. And it just it was fun. Like, I think when you really look at my brand and what I'm building and the community around it, it's fun. It is lighthearted. It is a community of just, let's have fun. I don't take myself too seriously. If you follow me on Instagram, you will know this. Like, I will put it out there. And I think that's where it came from. And I told her, I said, more people understand or know at least what Okole is versus Ilemu. Okay, yes. We know the definition of Okole, but it's what I was raised with. My Hawaiian grandmother, to this day, this is what she used.
Yeah, a lot of that old generation did use Okole as the butt and the behind, right?
Yeah, like, she still uses it. Right. And that's what I use because she used it.
Yeah. And you kind of have to realize that language is fluid.
I believe,
and it is alive and organic, and it does have some changes and some, bending of the rules here and there. And it just does. It happens. I know, we're probably going to get flack from Olelo Hawaii people about that, but I'm sorry. We don't even really know, like, what actual Hawaiian sounded like besides what we hear on Ni'ihau.
Right. I also think I really don't want to go down this too much.
Okay, it's not.
I also feel like if you can take that or take yourself out of the situation and look at the intention. I'm a Hawaiian woman, born and raised here, giving back to my community and raising awareness for my community, for my other women, mana wahines, and I'm helping that. So the intention is I'm not making a quick buck off of, aloha. I'm serving my community in which I live in and participate in and continue to grow in. And I think if we all can do that and, just kind of see what the intentions of, of people, it's a lot more aloha to go around.
I think it's totally acceptable. You're not a poke shop in Chicago taking a Hawaiian name, right? Was it Aloha Poke?
Aloha Poke, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, that was terrible. You're not that. Yeah. You're a local girl making it happen. And it's for a good, healthy purpose, too.
Absolutely.
And you're not just putting the bands out there for sale. Like, you're on Instagram using it, showing people how to do it.
I would never sell a product that I didn't use.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah.
That's a big thing with entrepreneurship. Like, don't sell something you wouldn't buy and use.
I think what I love about entrepreneurship today with social media and that we have access is we're not sitting around waiting for the word of mouth. Oh, I had this product. It worked really well. I loved it. 3, 4, 5 weeks later, word of mouth is being spread. So if you're putting out a bad product, it will get a bad review immediately, right? And therefore, I'm not tricking nobody. We're not tricking our consumers at all. And they're going to talk about it. So I would never use something that I didn't believe in, period.
Do you think that scares away people from entrepreneurship or diving into self-business?
It shouldn't. Don't be a fake ass. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. And
that's a t-shirt right there too.
Right. Don't be a fake Okole. And I think too, like, most entrepreneurs want to take that leap because they're passionate about solving a problem or doing something. So with that comes that risk. But if you are passionate, then you shouldn't have to, there's nothing that you have to be worried about because you're not going to be faking anything. You're going to put out a good product because you believe in it and you stand behind it, period.
Now, did you have any kind of background in entrepreneurship or self-starting businesses before this?
A little, yes and no. Like, it was what I was raised with. So my dad has his own law firm. With that came a lot of hours. He was gone a lot, but we understood that he owned his own business. Like that was something that we understood very well in our household. And my mom's primary job was to raise us and take care of us and do all that thing. So they worked really great as a unit. My husband's family owned a line of furniture stores in the mainland. And so that was always like what he grew up with. And I got married very young. I got married at 19.
Wow.
And a lot of people will ask me like, do you regret that? Like, I don't, because I'm like, I don't though, because everything that we have today, we built 100% together as a partnership. So he had kind of that background. I kind of grew up with that. So it's kind of what we knew. So there was never a doubt to like, we'll do our own thing.
Right.
So we have started little things here and there. I started my isogenics business, and he worked for a construction company in the mainland. And eventually we found ourselves back home, and it was like, you need to just step out on your own. Just step out on your own. Take that test, get that license. Let's do it. And it was scary, right? All of these things are, stepping into the unknown, but it was a natural, organic progression that I think we were always going to take no matter what. Yeah.
What kind of test was that for?
The contractor's licensing test,
license for your construction company. Good. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, because you guys started your own construction company.
Yeah.
If that's not entrepreneurship, I don't know what is.
Yeah. I want to say 7-8 years ago now.
Nice.
Yeah. So we've been going, and, like we were conservative as well. So he kept his full-time job. We made it work. And I do think that entrepreneurs sometimes think that I'm starting my own gig, peace out. And they don't wait long enough to get the result so that it can subsidize and eventually become. And I think in this day and age, it's like, if I didn't get it in the time frame I was looking for, then it's a bust. It didn't work, or, and for us, it was like, we worked alongside, which meant we sacrificed a lot of time. There was a lot of time that he was working a full-time gig and then working his business part-time, but full-time. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people look past a lot of that, like, oh, so cool, you have a business, so lucky. Years that no one else got to see that I was running around, or I was doing things, that he was doing things to get us to the point where we felt confident to step away and just completely work for ourselves.
Okay, one of the things you said before we just took a quick break was how you're talking about how some friends had, I don't know, friends, but people had said they looked at where you were and what you've accomplished and said, hey, how lucky.
Yeah.
But they don't see like all the work, the blood, sweat, toil, tears, the time spent away from your family that goes into all the work that you have to do to create this business. It's not lucky.
It's not lucky. No, absolutely not. Yeah, I mean, I've been told that a few times. I've had people I also think on the flip side that they're like, I can have that too. I will give myself 1 month to achieve it. And if I don't, then it was dumb, that kind of a thing too. No one talks about the ugly side of it. Nobody talks about the conversations, the tears, the crying, the sacrifice, the missed soccer games, the juggling, the eating out, because, sometimes you and your spouse or your partner is like two ships, crossing. Nobody talks about that. Yeah. They all just see the outcome, but the process is what makes you. And at the end of the day, it really is coming down to your mindset, right? It's coming down to how badly do you want to make this work? How badly do you believe in yourself? Because chances are the people who are your friends and the people that you're surrounding yourself with, they don't believe in you the way you're going to believe in you. You're the only one who's going to be able to do that. And when it's dark and when you're crying and when you want to give up, because we all get to the point where you're like, I don't know if this is worth it. It's up to you. It really is. I have lost so many friends who have been in my corner cheering me on, because I'm going to play big and I'm without apologies, and it pisses people off, unfortunately. And it's sad, it's really sad but at the end of the day, I'm like, am I going to stop because someone doesn't like me for it? If that were the case, I would have been dead a long time ago, right? We went back to your conversation about niche. I'm serving my market. And as long as I focus on who I'm serving, it makes it that much easier to keep taking that step. And it's just step every day till I get closer to where I'm trying to go.
And you have big dreams.
I got big dreams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. But I love that the dream about, especially with the workout company you have, is that you're helping people. And some of your passion is not just making bands. Yeah. It's helping people get fit, or helping these mamas get fit and be healthy.
So it's really not too much on your physical appearance about fit, right? Because it's really more about like overall health and well-being. Mm-hmm. My 20s was spent on what you think of me and how I look.
Sure.
And my 30s are how I feel inside about myself, about where I'm going, and my gut health. And so there is a certain amount of empowerment that happens when you work out. I'm sure the science is right. Dopamine is released as well for me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So fitness and working out has always been part of my life. I had played basketball Kalakaua days. I had a volleyball scholarship. I played at BYU Hawaii. So like it's who I am. So after I got pregnant and gained 60 pounds, I have 4 babies. Someone had like, oh, you should get into CrossFit, or you should do this, whatever. And there is a level of like, I'm so scared to try. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of women I'm so afraid to walk into a gym and try. And I just want to get rid of that. Whether it's, can I give you some stuff to do at home so that you feel confident enough to go somewhere else and try something else, is kind of where I'm at with the baby steps. Like, how do you feel about yourself? And can I empower you to take those steps? I don't care what you look like. I don't care what the scale says, because I don't go off of that. I don't live my life that way. How do you feel? And how do you feel in that bathing suit? Like, how do you feel? And so that's always been the goal with Okole. Yeah, it's fun. It's an accessory band. Great. But can you not only find other people like you, can you find other moms down the street and get together and be like, hey, I got a half an hour, you got a half an hour, let's make friends. Let's go for a bike walk, or a bike with the kids, or walk around the block. Can you step out of your comfort zone? And I think that's where I'm pushing, is like, eventually what I want is to see some of my Okole babes, that's why I call them #Okole babes, step into a gym and feel like they belong there. And too many times in my life as a woman have I felt that I didn't belong somewhere where I absolutely belonged. And that is what I'm trying to address.
That's so deep.
I'm like, yeah, okay.
I love it. I absolutely love it, because you're going after mindset in a physical fashion, to where you're making these women comfortable in their own bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that translates to success in every other aspect of their lives. I
think what people forget about mindset, it relating it back to fitness, like, it's a muscle, right? Mm-hmm. It is like a muscle, and it needs to be exercised, and you need to put a lot of repetition in it, and you need to make time. It's not something like, I'm walking up the stairs, I'll get my fitness in today. No. Mindset's going to take intentional time. And if you're not careful, then that other voice creeps in, that one we don't want to talk about, the one that puts that self-doubt in.
Dude, that's the one I have to tell the effing shut up all the time.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And it becomes your voice. And it's not really your voice. That's not your soul. That's not your heart. But it acts like it, and how quickly it can deceive you and talk you out of things.
Yeah. It's that little subconscious, those little cartoons where you have the angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other. It's like, well, which one is telling me to stop, or which one's telling me to just lay down, or, not get up and do stuff, or which one's telling me, oh, this is too dangerous, or this is too much of a risk. And
I always tell anybody I work with, I was like, the truth by the way it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Period. That's how you know.
You know the truth by the way it makes you feel.
Yep.
I like that. Mm-hmm. That's another t-shirt. What are we on, like 3 t-shirts?
I guess.
Ideas?
Yeah.
We were talking off camera about t-shirts. That's funny. So to transition into another topic, actually it's kind of the same topic, but more of a mindset also. You were talking off camera about, if you don't ask for it, you're not going to get it. Mm-hmm. Period. Like, you're never going to get it if you don't start, if you don't ASK and just start asking.
Yeah. Totally. I think we talk ourselves out of things.
Yeah.
Oh, nobody will like that. There's no market for that. Why would anybody buy that? And then you make the mistake of telling your parents, And then they freak out and put their personal belief systems on you. Like, oh, nobody's going to buy that. You don't want to, don't make a mistake. Okay. And that's a huge one. So you have to listen to your own truth, right? You have to listen to your own voice. But I have had way too many experiences where I have asked for something that I did not think would ever happen, that people would not agree to. And they almost always say yes. But I will say, prior, I would talk myself out of asking, so I would never ask. Mm-hmm. But then I would keep that narrative, like, see, it would be a no anyway. And then I don't know, one day I just started asking for stuff, and I just like, well, you know what? It doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. And people want to make it happen for you. The universe wants to make things happen for you. And if you're asking and you're looking and you're seeing all of these opportunities, and I think as entrepreneurs, you got to constantly be looking for your opportunities, because there's so many freaking obstacles. And if you focus on that, you'll be dead in the water. So you're always looking for opportunities. I'm always asking for the most outrageous things. And if they can't give me exactly what I'm asking for, they'll give me something. Almost always. I want to say 100%.
Do you have an example of one of the outstanding ones that you asked?
Yeah. So prime example was my Okole bands, right? No one wanted to make what I wanted to make, or at the quantity I wanted to make. And I just hounded and I said, I want to make my own design.
And you're talking about factories in another country.
In China.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where we're already having a language barrier and a time difference barrier. And so most of our communication is through texting. Like, we'll text and stuff. Or I'll leave a video message and I'm like explaining what I want, and no, we don't do that. And I'm like, but can you? Do you have the capabilities to? Well, yeah, let me ask my factory. Almost always come back. They're like, they said they'll do it, but I got to charge you $60. Done.
You want to make money? I want to make money.
I want to make money. I'm willing to invest.
Change up your stuff at the factory a little bit.
Exactly.
Work with me. We'll both make money.
Yeah. Because I feel like that is what sets me apart. Anybody can make a booty band, but mine are like designed by me.
Yeah.
Local style. Yeah. And so that was one. I mean, I've gone into restaurants or doctor's offices, and I've bargained my way through things. I'm like, well, what about this? And I feel like you'd be surprised at how many people do. They want to meet you. They want to give you.
They want to help. There's so much stuff that's available if you just ask for it.
Yeah. And I'm not like, oh, I just want to be selfish and get stuff for free. It's not like that. Mm-hmm. But, putting yourself out there is part of it, and asking. And you will not get if you do not ask. And I think if you hear this today and you're like, I'm going to ask for something, you're like, you will be surprised. I think you'll really be surprised at how many people will acquiesce or be like, yeah, I think that's great. Or let me see what I can do. How can I work with you? Mm-hmm. Because people want to. And I think especially from the pandemic, people want to make connections, meaningful ones. They want to serve others in other ways because they haven't in a face-to-face capacity, so people want to give. I think that's part of human nature. It's like, how can I do this? How can I make this work for you? You throw it out there, you'd be surprised what comes back. And I think that's also how I intentionally live my life, is even with money mindset. It's like, I'm going to put my money out into my community and I know it will come back to me. Mm. And that's how I intend to continuously build up our community.
Yeah, because you get a lot when you give away.
Totally. And if you don't understand that, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people that are selfish in this world and just looking to make a quick buck, they're the ones that get left behind, or they're the ones that aren't really successful. But it's the ones that go out there and actually try and help others that, those are the ones that see the real success.
Right.
Success not necessarily being like making millions of dollars, but success being, hey, how do you feel as a human being?
Right. I mean, and that's what I love about success. It looks different for every single person. Mm-hmm. I did this little community, like church group for the youth, and we talked all about money mindset. I did 4 classes back to back, 30 minutes. And I didn't get into money because most of them don't have jobs or manage money. But we talked about money mindset, and every single child, I'm going to say child, had a very strong opinion about money, and for not even having it. And I was like, it's so interesting, right? Because we're being influenced all the time, right? So coming back to, like, especially for entrepreneurs, you know who your market is, you stay true to yourself, you put out the product that you feel good with, you know, you support your community, you do what you can, and it will come back to you. I wholeheartedly believe that. I believe in that attraction, like it will come back. You're not going to serve everyone, but that was never the intention.
Right.
Yeah.
Because even like Bill Gates, he's not helping everyone. He's helping Microsoft people, right? Steve Jobs, Apple, not helping everybody, but helping a lot of people.
But at the end of the day, when good people make good money, they do great things.
Right.
And that's what I hold for. Like, I believe that, you know? Yeah.
I don't like Apple, sorry.
I'm like, oh, where's my Apple product?
I'm an Android guy. But no, that takes, it's like you do niche down, especially even the biggest, most successful people that have created brands and stuff. It's still a niche, like Nike. It's still a niche.
Yeah.
That's not for everybody.
Right.
You know?
And I think as a business person who's starting off and they're thinking, wow, who's my niche? You just keep going.
It's almost like you should be in the niche. Like
you just keep trying.
There.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's probably something that you're solving because you felt that, you know, and then you just keep going. Like I have in the span of a year, probably narrowed down my niche like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, oh, you know, I did a pop-up for Okole. I've done a few like UFC gyms, CrossFit gyms.
Nice. And
I wasn't sure how it was going to go. And I did better at one location and I didn't do well at another at all. And I walked away it felt a little bit of shame. I was like, whoa, that was kind of embarrassing. Mm-hmm. But really what I walked away with, like clarity. That's not my market.
Yeah. So like research.
I don't need to spend time there. I don't need to worry about it. And those are not my people. Yeah. And I don't mean that in like, oh, I'm an inclusive community, you know, exclusive or whatever, but you're not my person. I'm not serving you. This person. And it just that niche became clearer and clearer. But it was because I was willing to fail. And I think that's like one of the funnest things about entrepreneurship is like, just go and try. And if you fail, great, just get redirected. It's not a failure. You know, it's not, oh my gosh, your whole thing is shit now. You just got redirected. Mm-hmm. It's just getting clearer and clearer. And you won't know though if you don't keep going.
Yeah.
Right? You can't give yourself this illusion of like, okay, I have so much time. And if I don't hit this goal at this time, then it's a bust, which I think also goes hand in hand with comparison. I'm not comparing anybody's journey. This is my journey. This is Okole's journey.
That's huge too.
And I'm in charge of it. I'm in charge of the way it goes. I'm in charge of how much I want to do, how much I put myself out there. Like I'm 100% in charge of it. So there's nothing to compare it to except for how I feel about it.
It's all part of success too.
Yeah.
It all comes back full circle to how you feel about it. And I'm thinking off the wall because I'm thinking of like different hat companies that people start up, different t-shirt companies, you know, because they're coming up with all these slogans on this episode about all these fun t-shirts. 1 million people have t-shirt companies. You don't compare to other t-shirt companies. Just compare to yourself and your product and what you're doing, who you're helping out and who you're serving. You know?
Yeah. Keep your head down. Just keep moving.
Keep your head down. Keep moving. Another t-shirt. What was the one we came up with off camera? Don't fake ass.
Oh yeah, it's a fake ass or something like that.
Something like that.
Don't fake ass. I think that was it. Oh my gosh. Don't fake Okole.
Don't fake Okole. One of the things I like to dive into some of my guests with, I know we were talking about this off camera during the break, but what is your purpose for being here? What is the mark that you want to leave on this planet before you leave?
Ooh, yes. So it has and always will be 100% around my kids. So I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be a mom. I told you I got married at 19. I got married very young. I started having kids kind of right away, a few years in, having babies. But I always knew like that was my thing. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to have a career. I've always envisioned myself as a career woman. Always. I had a corner office in New York City. Like that was the vision. But I always knew that my greater calling was to raise my babies. Mm-hmm. And there came a point where I was like, I will never work out of the house if I don't have to. Okay. And we did everything in our power to make that happen. And it was like bare minimum stuff. Like we lived on bare minimum. I don't even know how we made it. There's a big chunk that was kind of a blur of our lives where I'm like, how did we make that happen? You know, we bought a house. Like, how did it even happen? But it all came back to that. So my purpose, you know, like all this stuff is great. All this, you know, I love doing my businesses. We love building, you know, we love solving problems. We love that. We love seeing things come through. But at the end of the day, everything is centered for my kids. I want my legacy to be them and how they see the world, how they perceive it, and what good that they can bring back into it. You know, and I hope that as we continue down and I do some work and I heal some generational things as well, that they continue the work. And that becomes more evident in the way that they treat others and the impact that they leave here on earth. And that's really, it's not about how much money I'm going to make so that I can go start, you know, some service project thing. No, it's, can I raise good human beings who will go out and perpetuate that and add to this and add to the community, you know, and make it better. And I know that sounds so cliche and so big, but that's how things start. Right? They start in the home, the beliefs, what we're capable of, what our worth is. That translates into how we treat others, how we take on jobs, you know, how we solve problems, how we interact. And it just kind of just snowballs. And so I will be one happy mama, you know, knowing that my children know that everything I've done was for them, with them in mind. But also so that they can have all the amazing things that this world really does have to offer and see it for what it is. You know, see the beauty, see the good. It's so easy to get caught up in some of the really shitty stuff that's going on around here, especially right now. But, you know, what can you come out of it? Can you make a business in the middle of the pandemic? Can you thrive? And that's what I want. I want that for my children.
To be able to just go out there and face the world no matter what gets thrown at them.
Yeah. I think the quicker we realize or we teach our children that that's life, right?
Life sucks. Yeah. Life is going to be hard.
Yeah. The better equipped they will be. The quicker they will adapt. I think that's a huge thing that as parents, we sometimes shelter our children from. Yes. And we hide it and the struggles or whatever. When in actuality, they're so smart. They are so in tune more than we ever are, you know, as adults. And the quicker that they like catch on, like that's life. Life sucks sometimes, but that's life. You know, you can't be waiting for the perfect moment. You can't be waiting for the good. How come the good doesn't happen? Like the good comes all the time. It's intertwined everywhere. But as soon as they realize that, I think you can just push. You can push through. You're going to find, you know, your perspective changes, period. And I think so many times we think we're doing the right thing by sheltering our kids when they need to see the tears sometimes. They need to see the struggle. They need to hear the conversation. You know, they need it to be shaped. Their minds, their beliefs are being shaped by us every day. My second son, I love him so much. He's like, Mom, I was listening to this audiobook about money. I love everything about money. I love listening to money. I love everything about it. And he's like, how come people say money can't buy happiness? And I was like, well, that's such a good question. Let's talk about it. Right? Instead of being like, oh, you don't know nothing. Let's talk about it. Sure. So I go, can you name 5 things right now off the top of your head that makes you happy? So he named, you know, Disneyland, Aulani, eating Japanese food, my new Nikes, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And I said, how many of those things was money present? And he was like, all of them. I was like, okay, so let's dig into that. Money doesn't buy you happiness, but it aids in the things that make you happy. Sure. So stop putting things on, right? Like that goes back to that belief system. We don't put things on. Everything is a tool. We can use it in our life. And so it's always having these conversations in our household, listening to things and not making them feel ashamed for wanting to have a conversation about something. Right. Because they don't know. They don't know. They're asking. And what's the safest place to them? Their home. Mm-hmm. right? So yeah, let me put my mom hat aside and talk to you. And so I'm striving for that. You know, I run Okole out of my house and my garage.
Nice. So
there's bins, there's boxes, there's stuff. Oh, you got something from China. I'm like, oh, open it, you know. And I sit there and I pack. And I never thought, I was like, ugh, I'm such an outsourcer. Like, I'm just going to hire someone to. I thoroughly enjoy packing every single band because I'm like, I read the name, I see the address. I'm like, whoa, this is going to New York City. This is going to San Antonio. Like, it's going all over. And I put a little love in there and I wrap it up. And my kids, I'm like, hey, we're going to the post office. You know, like, they're a part of the process. This will be them at some point. They will do something like this. I know it, each and every single one of them. They're not going to see the 9 to 5 as normal. It's not to them. Yeah.
It's kind of amazing the parallels as you're talking to my life. And I know some people that know me really well that are going to listen to this episode and be like, yo, she's talking about your life. It's like, yeah, that's exactly the same thing, you know, packaging orders, filling them, shipping them out of the house and having the kids, you know, earn a couple bucks by helping package stuff and get it going and sending it out,
sure.
You know. One of my backgrounds, just so people that don't know, I have a hockey company that sells hockey equipment from Hawaii to North America.
Amazing.
Like, how stupid is that?
It's not.
It's like Eskimos selling surfboards.
You know, and I love that you can make light of it, but that's exactly it, right? Yeah. Is we had this conversation off camera where it's like, there's a market for everything. Mm-hmm. And social media has allowed that space for anything to happen. Yep. And it's a place, it's a community, you know, it's a community where people can come together very easily and they can find products, they can find things, they can find other communities of people. I saw TMI, but I saw this girl on TikTok and she was heading up a community of adults who eat their boogers.
No.
Yes. It's a real community. So I'm going to go off of, you know, and like not say it's preference. It's preference. But
that's odd.
Right. But there is a market for everything.
It's amazing that there is a market for everything.
Everything.
Literally everything.
Everything. So that's something we'll leave with our, you know, with your subscribers today. Is like, nothing is stupid.
There's a booger channel.
There's nothing is stupid. Nothing. You can literally do anything.
Well, that's stupid.
And that doesn't give you hope, right? If that doesn't give you like, I don't know what will.
You can build success from anything. Anything, even boog. Wow, t-shirt. You can build success from boogers.
I eat my boogers. Oh, I thought you were going to say I eat my boogers for a t-shirt. No, okay. Just kidding.
No, we're not kidding. Oh my God. Okay. So one of the other questions I wanted to ask you, this whole quest for entrepreneurship, mompreneurship, what's your best advice for how to replicate something like that? And I know that's kind of in your further dreams is to have a big event or something like this where you're actually bringing in more women and empowering women to go after their dreams and really pursue these business ideas, entrepreneurship, or even in corporate world. You know?
Yeah. So I think culturally, generationally, we've been taught as women that our dreams are secondary, whether it's secondary to our husband or secondary to our children, right? Our dreams get put on hold. And I think a lot of women feel that. And it's like I did at one point, I was like, wow, I have a college degree and I'm not doing anything. I don't bring any money in for our home. And I know my husband's struggling. You know, that tore me up. And so we're so used to this idea of I'm second. And I think that's why a lot of women don't step forward as soon, or they have a lot of doubts around it, or other people, you know, because that's what we've been taught. And then not only that, then it's like, could I even do it? Like, who's paving the way? What other women-owned businesses are paving the way for us that, you know, very visually where I can replicate or I can step into that. And then the third layer, which we're not going to get into today, is like, there's a little bit of that women against women, right? Women against women, right? Which I also believe was kind of passed down to us as well. And we won't get into that today. However, you know, it's I'm sorry, I forgot your question. I started talking.
Well, like, how do you replicate?
How do we replicate?
Your process.
So one day I was telling you guys my personal story is like, I knew I'm raising babies. I have a college degree. I wanted to make money and I'm not afraid to work. Like, that is not a thing. I chose Craigslist ad. I lived in Washington when I had my 2 babies, and my husband was finishing up at UW, and we had 2 car seats in the back, and I was delivering the newspaper, the Issaquah Press, for $50 a week. And it was like, that was my gig. I made that money and I felt freaking good about it. You know what I mean? But at some point in that process of motherhood, it was like, I'm made for more. I was made for more. I love my children. I'm not taking anything away from that. It's my greatest gift, my greatest joy. I told you, it's my legacy. I intend to leave. But I knew I was made for more. And whether it be my divine nature letting me know, God or whatever, spirit telling me like, there's more for you. And I couldn't find it, and I didn't know where it was. And it kind of came around in my 30s. I was like, oh, maybe it's because I'm turning 30, but I always knew. But whatever it was I was doing in my life wasn't actually giving me that outcome. There was a disconnect, and I didn't understand. And so in the pursuit of trying to figure this out became the personal development. And I think a lot of people want to jump into things. They have great ideas. Awesome. But if you're not also supplementing with personal development, you're going to struggle. You're going to come to a point where the haters are so great, or you lose some money, or the investment didn't work out, and you're going to question yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, you might not follow through. And so personal development, what does it look like? Podcasts, especially if you're one of those people, you're like, hey, there's, I don't have time. I don't have mentors. I don't have the 5 people around me that are going to shape and help me level up. Sure. Tune into a podcast. Those are your friends. Books. Those are your friends until you can find friends that are in your space. I podcast. I listen to stuff at the gym all the time in the car, which my kids get to hear as well. Right? Because I'm listening to a chapter and they're listening to it too. I hear them laughing sometimes, so I know they're listening. So the personal development is to supplement, right, your actual growth. Therapy, mental health is very important. Like I said, podcasts, and I've paid. There's no shame in paying for services, to be a part of groups or masterminds. A lot of, I think, early entrepreneurs, like, I don't want to spend money. It might be the best thing you spend your money on. I hired a business coach before I launched Okole. And mind you, remember I told you, this was just kind of a joke thing. I hired a business coach and a marketing coach.
Nice.
And I paid money for it. And I was like, I don't know if it's going to pay off. I don't know, right? I didn't know. Right. And I was like, but I ain't going to go walking into this without knowing. And I'm no expert. So I'm not going to wing it. So why not hire a professional? I think those things, if you can really sit down, like for me, I know what I'm worth. I know what my dollar is worth. I know what my time is worth. And that was an investment that I was willing to make that I knew would pay off greatly. Yeah. So for me, the biggest thing as you start to replicate this is as you do actionary steps, which anybody can give you, right? Find a product, find your niche, get lively on your social media. Like all of those are actionary steps. But if you're not supplementing it with personal development, I think you're gonna run into some problems, because in that process, you lose friends, you make some bad investments sometimes. It's not all uphill always, right? Yeah. And who's gonna get you through that? You have to believe in yourself so much that you stick to it every day. And I think a lot of people I just want to be the boss so that I can take the day off. No,
the boss works hard.
I'm the boss. I'm the first and the last, right? I'm always thinking about my business, and I'm always thinking about the women in my business. How can I serve them? Would they like this? I had posted up this video, and I had this workout clothes on. Most of my stuff is in workout clothes. And as soon as I posted it, I saw that you could kind of see my nipple. Yeah, we're going there. And I screenshot it. I sent it to my husband, and I said, "Oops. Is this too much nipple?" And he told me, he goes, "You've done worse." So I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Within minutes, I got trolled. "Oh, your nipples, I can see your by men, always, right? Yeah. Not the people buying my products, by men, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, okay, so I took it down. Had a bunch of likes on it. I took it down. And then went to my social media and I told my people, and I was like, look, listen, ladies, you saw me take this down. I put it back up, not because I'm ashamed of my body in any way. I go, but because that's not my people. I'm not here to get attention from these random guys that are not buying our products when I am here to service you. And I want you to feel comfortable in everything that I have. So if you don't feel comfortable or you don't feel safe or, you know, in any aspect of your life, please know that you can feel that here. Always.
Awesome.
Right. And I'm always talking to them like I know each and every single one of them.
Yeah.
And that's how I use my social media. It's the best advice I can give you is get visible, because people don't want to see curated. They don't want to see perfect. Perfect is dead. They want to know you. People really want to know you. And even though you think it's dumb or you think it's boring, they want to see you. And I post my workouts every day, which I think are dumb. And people like cheer me on. And if I don't post, they're like, where were you? Are you okay? I'm like, oh, I'm here. I didn't know if you guys want to see that today. But they do. They really want to make a connection with you. And when I ran into an Okole babe yesterday, she was like, oh my gosh, because she feels like she knows me. And I want to keep that kind of environment for women. Because when that kind of environment is present for women, they will continue to thrive. And then they'll take the next step out of the comfort zone. I think it's important for people to realize that other people have done things. So follow, figure it out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't struggle over here so that you didn't get an idea. You know what I mean? Like, how do I say this? Other people have done things. And I think it's important not to compare, but to also be very aware of what's happening. Hey, that didn't work well. I watched that. Or that person has done what I'm trying to accomplish. What can I learn from you? And there's a level of like taking yourself out of the equation of I have to be the best and I have to make this right. And just be like, hey, what can I learn from others? Mm-hmm. Other people are doing things too, which is great. And it doesn't take away from what you're doing, because it's not the same group. It's not for the same people. It's not the same market. It's not the same product, right? So what can you learn from others? I think that's huge. If you're the smartest person in the room when they tell you you're in the wrong room, you need to be constantly learning from other people and watching, what's working. Why do people take to that person so much? Mm-hmm. Why do they like that? And then learn that about yourself. I think I don't know, but people tell me all the time that I'm really relatable, which I think is just crazy to me. Is that because of all the stuff you post online? Yeah. Yeah. But they would never know if I didn't show up as me. Right. And so I'm always saying, like, consumers, this generation, especially, they're going to sniff out bullshit from a mile away. Mm-hmm. You can't fool them. Then they're going to call you out on it. Yeah. Right. So be you. You got to be you. And as you say that, I'm like, well, yeah, there's those ads on YouTube sometimes about guys, hey, this is how I made $1 million and blah, blah, blah. And like, dude, you're using like a shitty webcam. Why would I trust you? Right. And your echoey noise. Like, why would I trust that you know what you're doing? That's bullshit. Yeah. I think too, right now with YouTube and influencers and all that kind of thing, like, there's a level of we want to be fooled a little. Like, but we know, mm-hmm. like, we know, like, hey, hashtag paid ad, got it. You know what I mean? So there's a conscious effort on both ends a little. And I think as consumers, we buy into it a little bit, but we also are not stupid. No. So yeah, you got to be you. You have to be you. Even if it doesn't attract 50%, you're going to find the other 50%. Right. Like, you have to be you. Niche down. Yeah, niche down. Go for the niche. Mm-hmm. It's probably one of the most important things in this whole conversation about starting a business and starting an entrepreneur, venture. Find that niche. Yeah. Find people who've walked your path. Mm. Ask lots of questions. Read lots of things. I think those are actionable steps. But then you have to do. You have to do. And even if you're scared, you have to do it. Even if you don't know if it'll do well, you have to do. Period. Because there's no way to get more clear on what your next step is until you do it. Right? Because you'll know right away. You'll know right away. Anytime you've made a business decision, I almost feel like you know immediately, like, that was the right one, or that might not play out, but I learned a hell of a lot from it. Yeah. Yeah. Always. So people get so caught up in the things have to be perfect before I start That doesn't exist. That is a lie.
That is a lie.
That is a lie.
It's like climbing the mountain.
Yeah.
You don't just look at the mountain and be like, oh, I'm at the top.
Right.
And then I can start climbing the mountain. It's like, no, you start at the bottom and you take that first step.
Yeah.
And the next one and the next one.
Yeah. Being ready is a lie. And that is one thing. I have a sticky note on my mirror all the time. Being ready is a lie. Like, you do it. You just do it.
The Boy Scouts are going to hate you for that.
Why? Oh, yeah.
Be prepared.
Yeah. Be prepared. Yeah. No, like.
But that's true. A lot of the times.
You're never ready.
You're never ready.
You're never
yes.
ready. I never intended
like
to do anything outside of the bootyband. I'm dropping a full yoga set, workout, crop tops, bras, hats, everything this summer.
Nice.
Why? Because that's what my market told me they wanted.
Nice.
So no. I'm true to what I want. I never got into it for what I want. I got into it to serve others.
Yep.
So as we evolve, they evolve, I evolve, the company evolves, the brand evolves. I hope in 2 years you have me back and my thoughts have changed 100%. You know, like I hope to continually evolve.
Yeah.
And my perspectives on everything around it.
Hell yeah, we'll have you back on. Show like all the success and everything that you've done from June 2021.
Right. Well, and to go off my website being by Kamaile is because it was never intended to just only be Okole bands.
That's great.
Right?
Great idea. Yeah, you didn't narrow down that much. Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be like, I got into this to do something. So like, I actually got into isogenics to make residual income, to do something else. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, why are you doing that thing? I was like, because I make money while I sleep, which pays for my passion project.
Yes.
You have to learn to leverage, whether it's time, money, the bank's money, tools, you have to learn to leverage, period. If you're not leveraging, you're going to fall behind because you don't have all the time in the world.
You don't.
And I think that's why entrepreneurs get started. Yeah, we grind, but the end goal is time.
Yeah.
I want to have time freedom to do whatever the hell I want to do whenever I want to do it.
Yeah. It's like one of the greatest quotes I can say for pieces of advice for entrepreneurs or people thinking about entrepreneurship. And I heard this from Gary Vaynerchuk. It's like, you're going to die.
Yeah, you're going to die.
You're going to die.
We're all going to have the same end goal,
like, so
or end result.
Do something,
yeah.
right? It's
and
like,
do something big.
Mm-hmm.
Do something big. Do something so freaking scary. It's exhilarating.
It is. Kamaile, it's been so freaking fantastic having you on. Are you going to do your own show?
I don't know.
I think you should.
Oh boy. I could just voila out all day.
And people would listen. I mean, you kind of do that in a way.
On my Instagram.
Fashion, yeah, on your Instagram. Yeah, you could put it into a podcast format to supplement all that. That'd be great. You could. I never tell people what they should do. I always have changed that to tell people what they could do.
What they could do.
Because I don't know what they should do.
And then this was fun. This was totally fun. I love that. Like find something you like.
Yeah.
Then just do it.
Because if you ain't having fun doing it, you're probably not going to do it for very long.
And I can attest to that.
If
it's not fun,
sometimes.
You're not going to want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, when it sucks, do you still want to do it?
Yeah.
And for me, with this podcast platform, it's like, yeah, when it sucks sometimes, yeah, I still want to do it. I want to come back next week and, just charge at it again.
Yeah.
So
there's no end, right? Like when it comes to success.
Right.
It's like the success is the journey and what I learned from it and the person I become from it and the lives I touch from it. That's it. Head down. Just keep going.
Beautiful. Awesome. All right. Any last words for the audience?
You asked me what my favorite quote was.
Yes.
On a text message.
Yeah.
I'm
What's your favorite quote? Go.
Maya Angelou, you do the best you can until you know better. That one, you do the best you can until you know better, then you do better.
Nice.
I live my life by that.
That's good.
Because
That's good.
You can't hold me accountable for something I didn't know. But once I do know, then it's part of who I am. It's our job. It's our duty, to do better. And we need to just keep passing that forward.
And that's important from childhood on. Oh. That's a quote you could use. Yeah. From kids on, learning to walk.
Yeah.
Do your best. Fall down.
Exactly.
Get up. Do it again.
But there's also grace around it.
Sure.
Right. There's a lot of grace around
you failed. Oh, did you do your best? Yeah. Okay. Well, then do
that's
better
all
next time.
that's all you can ask for. Brene Brown had one. Sorry, I'm just keep talking. Brene had one that was just like, just she didn't want. It's something about not wanting any feedback from people who are not in the arena getting their ass kicked. Of course, she didn't use those words, but it was kind of the same thing. Like, I'm not looking for advice or feedback from anybody who's sitting in the stands. Unless you're in the arena getting your ass kicked alongside me, I'm not looking for your advice.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's same thing. Just get out there, get in the arena, keep playing till you feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that looks like.
Whatever that looks like. So awesome. Okay, everybody, she's going to have her own podcast show one of these days.
Maybe.
Yay. All right, Kamaile, it's been so great having you on.
Thank you. Mahalo.
All right. And as always, stay happy, Hawaii.
Was that it? Stay happy, Hawaii.
That's awesome.